Silvia Peregrino, and I'm the host for Entre Nosotras, Latina Voices. I'm also a professor here at El Paso Community College. And today my guest is Miss Grace Ortiz from Adult Protective Services, the faith-based community engagement specialist. And so welcome. Thank you for being here, Miss Ortiz.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm truly, truly honored to be a part of the show today.
Yes, Ms. Ortiz, I wanted to get started by asking you a little bit about your background. Tell us about yourself, how long you've been with the agency, and what do you do?
So I've been with Adult Protective Services, or the Department of Family Protective Services, for 16 years. For the first 6 years, I started out as an investigator. They called me an investigator. Back then it was investigators. Now it's specialists. And I would go out and I would look at cases where there was an allegation of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So I'm going to tell you, it changed my whole aspect of seeing things. It changed my world. It changed my world. And so I did that for 6 years. And then 10 years ago, I got the opportunity to become the community liaison for the Department of Family Protective Services. And so now my goal is to talk about Adult Protective Services and get people to understand us, what we do and why we do it, with just one hope of touching one life of a senior, because there's so many out there. And I just want to ensure that they live with dignity and respect, and that they're not going through anything that it's affecting their life, to be able to live with dignity and respect.
And so tell us a little bit about the mission of Adult Protective Services and what specific populations do you focus on?
So our mission with Adult Protective Services is to protect the elderly, anybody age 65 and older, and anybody between 18 and 64 that has a chronic disability from being abused, neglected, and exploited. And so we go about that by basically receiving a case and ensuring that they're safe. We've been we ask the community we rely on the community to make those reports so that we can ensure their safety. And that's the mission of Adult Protective Services. Now, the individuals that we serve, I mentioned already, anybody 65 and older is considered elderly, and those are our clients. And then 18 to 64 adults that have a chronic disability. And now that one is a little bit tricky. So when someone calls me and asks me questions about Adult Protective Services and needing help, I will mention to them, look, I know you're 52, but tell me a little bit about yourself. And if they tell me they have a disability, I'm going to ask about how bad is it? How chronic is it? Are you able to bathe, dress, care for yourself, shop, cook? All of those things affect your activities of daily living. And yes, you would fall under APS. Now, if you tell me you have a disability, but you're fine, you function, you're okay, then probably the case will not be accepted. So the key is a chronic disability that affects your ability to care for yourself appropriately.
And so what happens when somebody files a report?
So you're going to call our statewide intake, and that's in Austin. They're going to call, they're going to take your information, and they take lots of information from name, date of birth, disability, illnesses, and they're going to ask, tell me about the incident at hand. What's really happening? You have to be very detailed. And I asked, be detailed. Don't give little bits, because actually all cases are screened through the screener in Austin. And if they feel it's not a case, they won't push it through. And so once that case is accepted, it's sent to El Paso, and then it's assigned to one of our specialists here in El Paso. And then within 24 hours from that case received here in El Paso, that reporter is going to get a call. So it's important that if you're reporting, give your information. Don't be shy. Don't be fearful. There's so many people who tell me, I want to be anonymous. I don't want any problems. You won't have any problems. Basically, our goal is to call you and just get a little more information. Is the issue so bad that we got to get out there within the hour, or can it wait a day? We want to know. And so we're going to reach out to that reporter, and then we have to do a face-to-face within a certain time frame. We got to get out there and see that senior client or that person's with disability and do a safety assessment. And so all of those things are pretty much timed, and it's very important that you are aware that your information is key to getting out there and seeing our senior and persons with disabilities so that we can ensure that they're safe and well.
And then what kind of interventions would you do based on the situation?
So when we get out to the home of the senior, we do a safety assessment, and it's very thorough. People will call me and say, you all are very nosy, you all are very intrusive, you ask too many questions, but it is key to our safety assessment. And it's about, I'm going to be 80 questions. We want to know if you have food. We want to know if you pay your utilities. How do you pay your utilities? Who manages your money? We're going to ask you questions about who visits you. Tell me about your medications, your diagnosis. When's the last time you took your medication? What medications do you take? Do you see a doctor? What doctors do you see? It's all in putting the story together. And so once we figure out what's really happening, then we can provide a service plan. And honestly, Adult Protective Services is here to help, and we want to help. And people don't understand that. I mentioned to you earlier that APS has a misconception. They think we're granny snatchers. They think, oh my gosh, they come in and they put people in nursing homes and they lock the door and throw the key away. Well, no, that's not what we do at all, at all. Our goal is to provide some type of service, keep that senior in the home, and provide services that will make your living situation, your home situation, better, safe, and that you can live there with dignity and respect. So when I say things like that, tell me, I'm going to give you examples. I've had people call me and say, Ms. Ortiz, my water heater broke. I can't afford it. What do I do? Well, that falls under neglect because you actually need your water heater to be able to live in your home with dignity and respect. So if we can go in there and see that you're not managing your money or that you can't make it with purchasing a new water heater, then APS will pay, the state will pay to help you fix that. So we do minor home repairs. We fix toilets, sinks, water heaters. We turn on air conditioning in the summer. We turn on heaters in the winter. We'll help you catch up on your utility bills, because you'd be surprised how many seniors don't have any utilities and they live like that and they're afraid to ask for help. Or during the pandemic, they just didn't have food. They were afraid to go to the groceries. They're literally afraid to go out and didn't have anybody. And so that's what's really, really heartwarming to know that the agency can help. We're there to help. We want to make a difference. And El Paso is truly special. I work for the state of Texas, but I'm going to tell you that El Paso is a special community. So many resources where if we know we can provide you a service through them, we will. And and that's what we're there for. There's Area Agency on Aging where we'll transfer you over or refer you for provider services or medical supplies or adult underwear or bed pads. We will help you with incontinence supplies, but they will help you as well. Or transportation through Amistad. Like I said, help with rent, Project Bravo. We'll do that. We'll figure out how to do it. Because if they can help a little, then we can help a little more with something else. And that's our goal.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that this agency exists to help our seniors. And you mentioned that June is Elder Abuse Prevention Month. Could you tell us a little bit about what activities you're doing around that?
So, with the pandemic, it's been very, very different. Other years I did 2 huge events and we just had to stop them. And they're not going to happen this year, my big events, but we're all going to do some things. So I have a board, APS Silver Star Board, that's going to do an event for May in honor of June. So June is Elder Abuse Prevention Month and the color is purple. And so June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And I'm going to send out an email to all my community partners, but I'm going to ask the community, wear purple on that day. Show that you are there, that you want to help our seniors and that you want to promote the prevention of elder abuse, because it's out there, it's happening, and our seniors need that voice. So you need to ask those questions. So for June, I am planning on we're going to do our resolution with the county commissioners. I'm going to write an article, look out for it. I'm hoping that we can get it into our local paper on tips and what it is and why we do and what we do. I'm also, our Silver Star Board is going to have, they adopted 3 assisted livings. And what they're going to do is they're going to have an hour and a half of fun for those seniors. Again, because of COVID, those seniors were truly isolated in those facilities. And so we're calling it giving back to our seniors one smile at a time. And so for an hour and a half, they're going to get to have exercise. They're going to get to do some gardening for 30 minutes. And then lastly, they're going to have some entertainment. And we're going to teach them about what elder abuse prevention is, the tips on the signs, what to look out for. And that's what we're going to do in May, in honor of June. And so we're really excited. We're hoping that, we can do more next year. Unfortunately, again, we're still practicing social distancing. We usually have a chili cook-off, and we usually have a huge health fair, but that's on hold until next year.
You mentioned to look out for, or that you're going to educate people on looking out for the signs of elder abuse. Could you speak a little bit more about that? What should we be looking out for in our community?
Of course. So there's 3 areas that we review or investigate. That's abuse, and that's easy. You're going to look out for burns, cuts, bruises. Every bruise has a story, and it should make sense. If you see things like that, then maybe they're going through physical abuse. The second one is neglect. This is the one that's most common that people just don't understand. As we get older, it's harder for us to do things. It's harder for us to take a shower and get in the tub. So you know what? Mejor no. I'm not going to take a shower for a month or so. But that's that's not healthy. So that's one thing. That's neglect. If you see that they don't have any utilities, they don't have food, they can't pay for their meds, self-neglect. They can't do it. Then there's the other side. Usually a family member or someone they know, a caregiver, a provider, is causing the neglect. And you're going to see a difference in hygiene, malnutrition, dehydration, over and under medicated. You're going to see lack of utilities, lack of food. Those are signs that you're going to say, hey, I need to ask those questions. What's going on? Why? And then they'll share with you. Believe it or not, they will share with you and tell you, you know what, this is what happened this month, or something happened to me. And then the third one is exploitation. Again, it's the 21st crime of the century. And I'll tell you that people are ashamed when it happens to them. They don't want to share. And when they do share, hundreds of thousands of dollars are gone. And so exploitation is when someone we know and we trust takes advantage of us financially with either our credit cards, our bank accounts, our property, personal property, jewelry, antiques, whatever it is. And they're taking advantage that they take it from you for their personal gain or benefit, not for yours, not for the seniors, but for theirs. And so seniors, it happens to them and they're ashamed and they're not going to say anything. They won't even call the police. And later on, it comes out that it's happening or it's been happening. When we've gotten cases on those, we see that they've lost $100,000. And sometimes that's not recoverable. So as soon as you see the signs of exploitation, you're going to see that they're not able to pay their bills like they used to. You're going to see a change in their bank account. They'll share with you, I can't manage. My income has changed. Or when you visited your friend, she had a beautiful antique lladro, a statue, and it's gone. And you ask, and they're like, I hadn't noticed it was gone. And you start asking more questions, and she says, you know what, maybe my granddaughter took it. Or they'll share with you, my granddaughter came and asked me, can I borrow your credit card, Grandma? And next thing you know, it's charged like $5,000 without permission. Or they take it without their knowing. So again, it's a crime that happens and people just don't know what to do, and there's shame. There's no shame. Ask for help so that we can investigate and stop it from continuing to happen.
All of us are going to be seniors at some point, so it's good to know that there's somebody outside looking out for their interests. I had a question. This is more because I have a lot of friends and colleagues that their parents are aging, and so a lot of us can't afford to maybe quit our jobs and become a 24-hour caregiver. But are there programs that the state provides to help somebody be able to do that? Or could you talk a little bit about how the state can support caregivers?
So once we get a case and we see that the client is deteriorating and needs a provider, that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to reach out to family. And if family says, you know what, we work, we can't, what do we do? Even now, you don't even have to call Adult Protective Services if you don't think, but talk to the doctors, the primary care physician first. That's your first step. And then explain to them your concerns, how they're declining, how you're worried about them, how you feel like they need that help. And what you can do is tell the doctor, and with their insurance, possibly the doctor can make a referral for at least 3 to 4 hours of someone to come in and start helping them. But sometimes they need more. So then you're going to go to a different area, which is HHSC, Health and Human Services. And you can also apply through them and see if they can help you with more hours, more provider services. Of course, the doctor has to approve it, and we have to show, why do you need so many hours? And then also there's other agencies. One of them is Area Agency on Aging, and they're local. There's an agency where you can call in and say, you know what, I want to apply for services. And they're going to see if they can provide provider services. They can provide adult briefs. They can provide maybe medical supplies. And then if their program can't cover it, then every Christmas, I don't know if you've seen it, they have the senior fund, meaning that you can submit your story and it comes out in the newspaper. And during that time, there's so many people who want to adopt a senior. So you'd be surprised, there's seniors who need a hearing aid to be able to hear, be able to talk on the phone, be able to communicate with family. They'll help them purchase a hearing aid or a walker, anything like that. But I would say if you're really, really concerned about your loved one, call Adult Protective Services. And again, it'll fall under neglect. It doesn't mean anything bad when you say my mom is neglecting herself. It's that she just can't anymore. I've had people who call me every day, daily, and they'll give me their story. And their story is, my mom has dialysis and she's declining in health. And it's getting harder for us to bathe her. And I'll ask the questions, do you have a provider? Do you need one? So I'll put that in there. They need a provider. Number 2, they need a bathroom conversion. Can't get her in there to roll the wheelchair to shower her. Well, guess what? Maybe APS can pay for that bathroom conversion. We have a community of veterans. Lots of veterans don't know that once you come to APS, and if I know you're a veteran, then I'm going to reach out to the VA, the Veterans Administration, and see, can you cover costs for certain things? Maybe they need special diabetic shoes, or they need help with their medications. Lastly, the bathroom conversion, maybe they can do it. And if they can't, then the state will pay for it. But again, our job is to build that bridge with our community partners. And again, reaching out is nothing bad for asking for help. We're here to help. We want to help, but we got to know what's really happening. And I tell everybody, you know, we all have a story. And you mentioned to me, one day we're going to be seniors. Well, you're absolutely right. But starting now, we have to have that voice for the senior, for those seniors that are out there, especially now, because they've been isolated. They've been separated. Families really don't know what's happening in the home. And we need to start getting more involved with our family members and asking those questions.
Let me ask you this: when people are applying for those services, you know that in our community a lot of people are Spanish speakers, and some of the older folks may not have the opportunity to have finished schools. So do you guys help them do the paperwork, do the forms, or is because maybe the forms are in English and the person is a Spanish speaker, is that something you help them with, or do you just tell them, here's, go to this website?
Absolutely not. Our specialists will do everything in our power to help them, guide them, fill out paperwork, answer the questions. We'll do follow-ups. We were going to try to be involved in that case until that service is in place, because we really want to ensure that they get the help. And you're right. There's lots of seniors who don't understand the process. And in today's age, what is it all about? Get on the computer and do online. And I have a 77-year-old mom who doesn't have a computer, and she gets so upset when she goes to the doctor, because the first thing they do is say, we need you to do this because you're going to have now, you can get all your information about your history or your doctor through the portal. And she'll look at them and say, I don't have a computer. And not even a doctor's office can answer the question. So now she's trained. Now I tell her, give them my email address just so that I can at least be part of her care. But it's true. The internet is out there, yes, but there's so many who speak Spanish who just have no understanding, again, or that fear. And so we're there to help. And we even work with Social Security. Maybe, there's people who have lost their husband and didn't know that they needed to go to Social Security so that they could get their Social Security as a widow from the husband. So we'll work with Social Security to see if we can get them those funds, because maybe that little bit of fund can just make them live a little bit more comfortable. So yes, we're all about education. We're all about filling out the form. We're all about ensuring that that service gets provided for our senior.
And so speaking of some of the public programs that we have, what if, and here I'm just thinking, people that I know, what if somebody is a senior, but I guess they make a little bit too much that they don't qualify for Medicaid? Do you think they would still be eligible for some of your programs, even though they're not considered, I guess, too low income in the eyes of the state?
So we are there to provide that service during the time that APS has that case open. We don't look at if you qualify for Medicare or Medicaid. If you don't qualify for the Medicaid, I guess first things first, Area Agency on Aging will look at to see if they can get you qualified for it. There is a problem with Medicaid because so many seniors are fearful of it. There's that medical eligibility recovery program form that says if you get anything from the state as far as Medicaid, the state, when you pass away, can go back and recoup those funds. I've never seen it happen, and there are loopholes, which is a whole other program. But honestly, we are going to be there for them, and we're going to try to help them. And we're not going to look at whether you have Medicare or Medicaid, but we're trying to figure out at that moment if the other programs will make you eligible or help you. And then APS, again, if you need your toilet fixed, we're not going to look at if you have Medicaid or not. We're going to fix a toilet so that you can have that toilet to use. The same thing with your heater or your air conditioner. It has nothing to do with Medicaid. We're going to figure out how to make it better so that you can have a warm or a cool house. Some of the other programs might, but that's just part of the journey of trying to figure out how to provide those services through the other agencies. So, again, it's all about education. It's all about figuring out what to do and helping those individuals. And that's a very, very touchy subject, Medicaid and that form. But there are loopholes where you can still get Medicaid and not worry about losing your home later. So, just keep that in mind. Don't be fearful of it.
And could you talk a little bit about those loopholes, or what if some of the yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going to give you two tips. One is if you have somebody in the home that's already living that has a disability, some people have children that are disabled to live with their mother and father, senior family, then that's a loophole. They can't go in and take your home after you fill out that form because of that, because there is a disabled child that's an adult living with you. That's one of the loopholes. Or your spouse. Let's say it's a husband and wife and you got the Medicaid for one, and that person passes away. The state can't come in and take your home because there's still a senior living there. And the second one is a ladybird deed, where you would have to, of course, go through probably an attorney, but something about the ladybird deed puts your home in a trust and is protected, and the state can't come in and take your home because of Medicaid. And so those things you can put in place. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that I wish it were explained better. All they do is put the form in front of you and say, you have to sign this in order to get Medicaid. But, the state says those agents cannot talk about the loopholes. But there are ways around it. And I teach a class, and it's called Seniors Planning the Future through the Senior Doe program. And in there, I try to talk about those loopholes. I have an attorney that comes in and talks about them. So two of those are the ones that I want to really share that you could possibly do and not have that worry.
No, that's great. I think a lot of us who might have aging family members or parents might benefit a lot from that class. When do you teach that class?
So I teach it every spring, and I just finished, and every fall through the Senior Adult program. So I'll be teaching in the fall, and I teach on topics of adult protective services, hoarding, caregiving burnout. And the most important one, there's two. It's called the Personal Recorder. It's an awesome, awesome class because I teach you how to organize your whole life in a notebook. It takes 2 classes, and I provide that notebook to you. So, it's been very popular, and I invite everybody to come and be a part of it. I've gotten to learn through my students, and I'm hoping they're learning through me.
And so that's available through EPCC, through our senior program.
Senior Adult program.
What if, like technically I'm not 65 yet, but I'm almost pushing 50. Would I still be allowed to take the class?
I'm pretty sure Miss Mary Yanez would let you take the class and you could join it. And I did it virtually this spring, which was an adventure. I had seniors taking it virtually. Don't know yet what's going to happen in the future, if they'll let me teach in person or virtually in the fall, which I'm thinking it will. But come on down, join us. We'd love to have you.
Great. And so we've touched upon a lot of topics, Ms. Grace. Is there anything you would like to add that maybe we haven't covered in these past few minutes?
I just want the community to know that we're not a bad agency. We're here to help. We want to help. There's two places you can call: the 1-800 number, 1-800-252-5400, where you can call in a case. I always suggest go through the internet. If you have it, you go to www.txabusehotline.org, because it's so much easier. You can get it done in 10 minutes, answer all the questions. It'll go through the statewide intake in Austin, and then they'll send it to El Paso and get it assigned to a specialist. We're here to help. It's not anything bad when you report your mom or dad. It's all about keeping them safe, healthy, living with dignity and respect in the home. And who knows, maybe you'll be able to save their life and be able to help them in one way or another and be a voice for them.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for being a guest, and we'll put up that information so that people have those numbers and that website. And so thank you for dispelling some of the misconceptions about adult protective services. And I'm glad you're working with a lot of our agencies and partnering to give our seniors the best they can give. And you're going to see me at that class, or maybe see some of the people watching our show join your class in fall. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I truly appreciate all you do for the community and having the show, because again, information is vital, and together I know we can make a difference.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.